Well, welcome to my stream, everyone. This is about Rcmp complaints commission and how it works in Saskatchewan. And when I started this, when I bought a GoPro. When I first did that, my intention was to make sports videos or nature videos or travel videos or vlogs or whatever. But I soon realized that the purpose would be to film the Rcmp. Because, like, at the very beginning, I moved to a small town. And of course, I had that small town attitude because you grew up in Saskatchewan, you got the same attitude as everyone else in the whole province has. You're, you know, first thing you think about is farm, and you think about driving down the gravel roads and waving at people. No matter who they are, you wave, and everybody waves at you as you go by. You walk down the street in Regina and you say hello to people. And so I think that is kind of country, right? And I guess country is naive. So to be a little naive like that is like, it's, I guess that's propagated by the media. They say all Canadians are friendly and the country folk are friendly people, etc. People are in Saskatchewan are friendly people. Well, I'm telling you, you know what? Not my experience. There's some friendly people, but that's the temperament of society today. Do you know what I mean? It's a give and take, and it's way more take than it is give. So I'm going to give to you my experiences and how it's been for me when I moved into a small town. Being an outsider, a loner, a person who all my life, I guess, I've kind of felt self-conscious and insecure. And so that's the way I grew up. My dad was like that to a certain extent. And my mom certainly did not have many friends that were close to her or that, like that she regularly had, entertaining activities with. She was an outsider. And that's the way I lived my life, as an outsider. And so I guess that was a little bit too much for these people in this small town because of the small town mentality. But you believe in that still. That people are friendly no matter who you are, they're friendly. And sometimes that's not actually true. And what happens is that the people just will say, oh, the person's from the city, or that person's this person or that, and they stereotype
Subjects
people.
were worried about confirming that stereotype, and that affected their performance. Well, how does that work? How is it that stereotype threat can actually influence someone's performance on some type of test? Well, think about it this way. If you're worried about confirming someone's stereotypes, that you're not as smart as members of another group, that's going to increase your anxiety level. And not only is it going to increase your anxiety level, you're going to have to deal with a lot of distracting thoughts about avoiding failure. Now, of course, if you've got that going on in your mind, you're kind of losing your focus. And if you're losing your focus and you're spending your mental energy on other things, worry, you also have a loss of cognitive resources. You only have so much mental energy that you can spare. And if you're worrying about things and you're anxious about things, you can't really focus on performing well on the task at hand. Well, there's a feedback loop involved there because as you worry about these things and you have problems with the task, that's going to activate more negative thoughts and more worries and more concerns about failure. Stereotype threat can also affect one's self-concept, and this is where things get kind of scary. Chronic stereotype disidentify with intelligence. Disidentify with intelligence, essentially they no longer see intelligence as an important part of their self-esteem or their personal identity. That's obviously not good for them. It essentially forces them to tune out. They don't work as hard. They perform worse. It's more likely to happen when the target person really stands out. It's also more likely to happen if the target person is frequently victimized by the group.
Yeah, so if a person is frequently victimized by a person through his whole lifetime, And such like my mother was by my dad was a bully. And my dad taught his sons to be bullies. And I always had that kind of attitude like, what the fuck is going on here? These guys are bullies. And hey, I don't know. You can experience family life in a different way. Maybe you can experience family life in a less positive way or a more positive way than I did. But I had all I wanted. I had food. I had clothes. I had money. I had people around me, but they weren't supportive. No support. And we didn't support each other. We're individuals. I think Dad taught us all to be individuals in the first place. And then anything else was not going to be time enough to do. So all that says that I'm an individual and I create for my own self. And seriously, people like yourself, people like me, you know your insecurities in your life. And sometimes what happens is that people who are bullies and they have been brought up a different way with different ideas in their minds. Like for myself, I kept on thinking, what the fuck's going on here? These people are bullies. But some people just enjoy harassing people, and they do that. And when you are a person that's been constantly bullied and brought up in a family that's been bullied, and you've been bullying each other all through this whole thing, and it's hard to express how it is because you didn't live my life, but I lived my life. I understand how it is. Then without reflection on yourself, you don't know how it is for yourself. But I do now realize how insecure I was. And Keith Kosher of the Rcmp in Saskatchewan, he took advantage of that fact. And I didn't know. I had no idea, because I never really looked at myself. Never looked at myself. I never thought about who I am. I always thought about, I got to do something for somebody else. I got to make something happen for somebody else. I got to go to work and do something for somebody. I got this, and you know what? Holy fuck, is that ever a harassment? Because you know what? I'm being bullied to do this shit. Nobody actually supported me to do anything, but I was bullied to do this. So I was bullied into taking my camera and filming this motherfucking piece of shit. His name is Keith Kosher. And this was a town that all through my life when I was a kid, I was a little kid, maybe 9, 10 years old, and I heard of this place, Fillmore, and it was called Peyton Place. That everybody was so self-important in Fillmore, that the town of Fillmore, that everybody there felt so fucking self-important that nobody really liked anybody from Fillmore. And it's true to this date that there is still what they call small town rivalries going on there on 33 Highway, where Fillmore and Creelman and all this kind of shit. But actually, those people feel self-important. They feel like they're really way too much, like they're way, way more important than anyone at all. That's the way they feel. And they feel like they can harass people. It's like, it's the way it is. They're self-important. And so that's my rant about the town, because the town is called hell. It's called Fillmore, Saskatchewan. And when I went in there, I went onto the property. I bought the property and I walked in there, and I was thinking, man, Fillmore, because I like music, and I was thinking Fillmore, that's a music festival. The Fillmore Festival is like world famous, but it's in San Francisco. But I thought, we could have a bluegrass festival right here in Fillmore, Saskatchewan. Wouldn't that be great to have the Fillmore North? Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't that be great to have a bluegrass festival in a small town in Saskatchewan, or a folk music festival? A music festival with Saskatchewan music, not Western music, but Saskatchewan country music. Wouldn't that be great? That would be fantastic. And I know with my skills, I could have promoted a music festival in Fillmore. I know I could have done that. I could promote anything. And that's a fact. And not just by my voice alone, but by the fact that I would do it. And now I persevered through this. This is a production now that I've made. Instead of the music festival, here it is. It's the shit festival. And it's the shit festival about the Rcmp in Fillmore, Saskatchewan. And his name is Keith Kosher. And he harassed me since the day I moved in there. They came across and they smashed my fence down, and it started then. But this is only, sorry about that, I digress. This here documentary, this is only about 3 days. This is about 3 days. This is the time elapsed in all this that you're going to see here today is only 3 days. I want you to know that. 3 days. But the very first one is how it happens. And this is Keith Kosher talking to my neighbor across the street in June 19th, 2018. June 29th. As soon as I started my engine, he's friendly. The little guy waved at me because he's friendly. He's not a bad kid. But the neighbor is harassing me through the police. The neighbor harasses me through the police, and this is how he does it. Every time I start my engine, he phones the police and puts in some kind of complaint. That's how the neighbor harasses me, through the police. So this is part of the investigation that's going on into the police. And that's a matter of fact. They asked about him. They asked about my neighbor, Mitch. They're asking about you, Mitch. They want to know what happened on that day. That's a fact. September 9th, 2018. That's what they want to know about Mitch. About Mitch and Constable Jones, and about the Reverend. And yeah. And then you know what? What else they want to know about Gary and Lorna? They want to know about you guys too. This is all, like, what is it, 3 or 4 days? That's all this whole thing takes here. And so, you know, and if they can, they will. And what was I thinking? Hey, I was thinking, oh, it's my neighbor. You know, I wasn't thinking that honestly too either. You know, in the video, I said my neighbor. Why? Because, you know, I'm still saying, you know, no, these guys aren't going to do this. And of course, I didn't want to dare mention the Rcmp are harassing me. Because you don't want to say that, because you know why? Because when you talk about Satan, he comes into the room. If you talk about Satan, Satan walks in. So I don't talk about Satan. I talk about God, and you know what? I feel better, you know? So I don't talk about the Rcmp, the assholes and peace. No, I don't talk about them. I try to think positively, but it's been 3 fucking years that they've been harassing me non-fucking stop every fucking day. Every fucking week I have to go to fucking court because of a fucking cock-sucking piece of shit named Kosher. This is my fucking documentary about you. It's called Freedom of Fucking Expression. It's 4 hours long, I must tell you. So remember that. You got 4 hours to listen to this shit. And it might get better, but I'm going to fucking express today. Fuck you. And record this. Put it all over the internet. Laugh. Because if you laugh, somebody else will laugh with you. And sooner or later, comedy is about tragedy. And if you think that this is not tragic, that this fucking Rcmp, it's not tragic that a person that has such esteem in a place will just harass one small tiny individual that he really just didn't have time for. The guy is focused on me because you know why? Because just like Neil Meyer says, some people can't get out of the office. If we let some people go out of the office, they go nuts and they start harassing people, Keith. That's why you can't go out of the office. That's why you have to be in the office, Keith. It's because you drive around harassing people. Buddy. Buddy. Hey, buddy, you kind of have to be nice to me, buddy. No, I don't have to be nice to you, buddy, because you, guess what? Don't have to be nice to me, buddy. But you have to, don't you, officer? Because you're not my buddy, officer. You work for the government. You work for Saskatchewan, but Saskatchewan has no complaints commission. No, it's just a big harassment thing. For 3 years now, it's been week after week I've been going to court. So anyways, listen to this here. So this is over 3 days. That's all this has been. This was like 3 or 4 days here in a row. That's all this was. And it leads up to and a little bit past what into the 19th of September. So it's probably about 10 days. Sorry about that. It's more than 3 days. It's 10 days. But this is what they do to a person for 10 days. And the fact is that already, now this is the very first time, this is 10 years ago. This is 10 or 15 years, almost 15 years ago. Now listen to my voice. That's what you have to hear. And if a bully hears that, that's what they key on. If you listen to my voice in this video, listen to what I say and listen to how fucking afraid I am of this person already and how I'm trying to give this person the fucking benefit of the doubt. How I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not harassing me, but I know he is, because you know why? Because I'm a loner and I've been a loner all my life and I knew this motherfucker was harassing me. You can hear it in my voice. My dad took advantage of that with my mom and took advantage, and I was so much like my mom. I'm sitting here in this fucking apartment doing the same thing that my mom did. Nothing. Just sitting here thinking that there's somebody out there that cares about me. When you know what? You have to go out and find that person. You can't sit around in your apartment and wait for someone to come and say, I'm here to support you. I'm here to be with you. I'm here to be your friend. You have to go out and find those people. And my mom never went anywhere and did that. And neither do I. I sit here and dwell in my misery when I should be going out and finding someone that knows what the truth is. And this motherfucker bullied me, and you can hear it in my voice. This is 15 years ago. You can hear it in my voice. Right there in my van. That's where I live. Yep.
I don't think you can live in your van.
I sure can. There's thousands, actually hundreds of thousands of people in Canada that live in their vehicles. Yeah. And that actually is my property, and I can park there for as long as I want. You know? Did you hear that? Did you hear like how afraid I was and how much that he was already bullying me? And he heard that, and you see the smile in his face when he hears that tone in my voice, and he knows that he's got a victim. And that's exactly what I know from my experience. Because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that don't want me to say fucking shit about them. And that's why. And that's a fact. This fucking bastard fucking bullied me. You can see it and you can hear it in my voice. And he found a victim. This cocksucker found a victim.
People fight. Well, maybe they fight sometimes for good reasons, but very, very frequently they fight for bad reasons. And those bad reasons are personal as well as sociocultural and economic. Whatever pathologies you were carrying around in your destructive little soul, whatever element of Cain was deeply embedded in you, had the opportunity to be manifest fully at every moment of your waking existence, right? You had these people who were completely beholden to you, with no rights whatsoever, to whom you could do whatever your evil little heart determined.
Where else do you live?
Right there in my van. That's where I live. Yep.
I don't think you can live in your van.
I sure can. There's thousands, actually hundreds of thousands of people in Canada that live in their vehicles. Yeah. And that actually is my property, and I can park there for as long as I want. You know that?
Yeah, you can park.
The only other question I'd like to ask you is if you mind giving your opinion on this.
Do you think that uniformed RCMP members should investigate complaints against other RCMP members? Do you think that if I complain about the police, do you think that a uniformed RCMP member should come and investigate a complaint?
Against that person, like you're talking public complaints?
Yeah. Do you think uniformed
No.
RCMP officers? He said no. And the reason it happens is because they want to intimidate you. They want to make you not complain. They want to threaten you. And that's why uniformed RCMP officers come and harass you. To the real contemptuousness of society. We see we see what progress does.
There's a systemic problem with accountability for police officers, and the Crown Prosecution Service is a major player in that.
People fight. Well, maybe they fight sometimes for good reasons, but very, very frequently they fight for bad reasons. And those bad reasons are personal as well as sociocultural and economic. Whatever pathologies you were carrying around in your destructive little soul, whatever element of Cain was deeply embedded in you, had the opportunity to be manifest fully at every moment of your waking existence, right? You had these people who were completely beholden to you, with no rights whatsoever, to whom you could do whatever your evil little heart determined.
Every half hour or 20 minutes on... every 20 minutes, there he comes back. Same stalker here every 20 minutes.
The pressure is really on the filled air freezers, so they have enough meat to last through the winter.
This truck here, I've seen about 200 times at least. Every half hour or 20 minutes on... every 20 minutes, there he comes back. Same stalker here every 20 minutes. How are you, man? Be worse?
How come you keep putting stuff up around town with my name on it?
Was that your name?
Yeah.
Are you Keith?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Somebody told me that you were talking nasty about me at a golf tournament.
Well,
I wonder what that was about.
listen, I'll
Was that true then?
No, that's not true.
Okay, well then
What I'll
I
tell
have
you,
to
Dale,
say,
if I see
my
my
apologies.
stuff up around town with my name on it again, I will charge you with harassment,
Okay.
criminal harassment. Do you understand that?
Okay. I prefer not to associate with you, fine sir.
I prefer you not associate with me either.
Okay. Have a good day. I think
But
that's
if I see my name
I
on
think
something
that's a
around
gentleman's
town,
agreement.
if
Yes,
I
sir.
see something, you understand me, Dale?
Well, I think we understand each other.
I think we
and
understand
that's
each
full.
other now, for
if
sure.
we fully do the exact same thing,
No, I think you
exact
understand
same
here.
thing, like
Listen to me.
equally
Listen to me,
treat
Dale.
each other
Dale.
with respect.
Listen,
if we treat each other
I've
with
always
equal
treated with respect. I see
so
stuff
then
up
from
around
now
town
on
with my
we
name
will.
on it. Again,
From now on
I will
we
come
will.
and find you, and I will arrest you, and I will charge you with criminal
So
harassment.
as long as we treat each other with equal respect, I think that would be a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, and that's
That
all
would
I've
be
ever
fine
shown
with
you.
me.
Okay,
Thanks, man.
never again, Dale.
Have a
No,
good
I'm
day.
not shaking your hand anymore. I
Well,
shook your
you know
hand
what?
before.
I
After
really-
the first
you know,
time,
that's
and
the
you
problem.
go around saying stuff about
Is-
me, yelling stuff on the street. I'm
Yelling
not doing that
stuff
again.
on the street?
Yeah, you were yelling stuff on the
Really?
street.
Well,
yes.
I have you on lots of videos, so.
Oh well, okay.
Well, what we'll do
There
is
you
we'll
go.
leave it at this.
No, we'll
As
leave
a
it at
gentleman's
this, Dale.
agreement that
No,
we
not
will
a
treat each
gentleman-
other. Yeah, so anyways, so that was what happened there was in March of 2018. And so that was March 2018. And then we saw June 2018. And it wasn't any different. That's the truth. He was going around. I don't know what his deal was, but he was focused on me all the way from the beginning. And I didn't know who he was, obviously. You could tell I didn't know that was Keith because I said, "Are you Keith?" And he said, "Yeah." And you could tell that I was surprised that his name was Keith. You know, you knew that I didn't know that he was Keith, right? It's pretty obvious. Now, this guy, it was the same deal. Like, you know, and this was inadvertent. I felt bad that I filmed this guy because he stopped. But I thought, well, what the fuck's he doing? Because I thought this was Keith Kosher. Why? Because he's driving a Ford. And the guy that was harassing me was driving a Ford. And all Rcmp look alike. If they're driving a Ford, you tell they're driving a Ford. If you see it's a Chevy, then you see it's a Chevy. So that's the only way I can tell them apart until you realize that there's little numbers on the fenders. And you read those numbers. But what was I giving a shit about? I didn't care. Because I was thinking, okay, this is, you know, this harassment, and that's the way the police are. But it got to be so obvious and such a pattern that it got to be bothersome. And when you have been harassed by bullies all your life and grew up in a bully family, then you recognize this and it starts to play on you. But he knew that I was a victim to begin with. He knew that I had insecurities in my life. He knew that I felt, you know, that the whole world was surrounding me and closing in on me constantly. He knew these things. They know that. And that's why Neil Meyer knew that too. And that's why how it developed the way it did, because I knew what their patterns and their thought patterns were before they did what they did. Every step of the way, I knew what they were going to do. I knew what he was going to do. And that's why I put a note up on the bulletin board and said, "Stop fucking talking about me, Keith Kosher." And because I didn't know who the fuck it was. I could have, I guess, went down to the Rcmp office. That's what I should have done. But who knows? He might have killed me. I don't know. I wanted to talk to him in public because he was crazy. And that's it. He's a bully. Neil Meyer himself says that Kosher is a bully and that Kosher can't go out of the office, that he can't deal with people. Neil Meyer says that. And that's another video that's coming up shortly. So anyways, that's the truth on that. Neil Meyer's the supervisor. Neil Meyer knew who everybody was in the whole thing. And so that's Keith Kosher in like March. And then, of course, there's this guy. And this guy, all Rcmp look alike. But he's driving a Ford. So I thought, okay, this is the idiot in the Ford.
Say what?
That's harassing me.
It's a camera. I'm photographing you right now.
Why?
Because you're harassing me.
I'm not harassing you.
Well, then what is it your business what I'm doing with my camera?
Why are you pointing it at
Anybody can do anything in public they want with their cameras.
Why are you pointing at me? That's my question.
Because you decided to come over and harass me.
I stopped at the stop sign. You started pointing at me.
Yeah, you see? I was wrong. And I actually apologized to this guy because I was wrong. That's Sheldon Preston. I didn't know that until he said so. But I didn't know who was really harassing me. Was it Kosher? Was it Preston? Who the fuck is this guy in this Ford Rcmp vehicle?
Say what?
What are you doing with that?
It's a camera. I'm photographing you right now.
Why?
Because you're harassing me.
See, it's a Ford. And I see the number there, 255. What do I know about that now? Now I know. There's a number on the frickin' fender. That's his vehicle.
Say what?
What are you doing with that?
It's a camera. I'm photographing you right now.
Why?
Because you're harassing me.
I'm not harassing you.
Well, then what is it your business what I'm doing with my camera?
Why are you pointing it at me?
Anybody can do anything in public they want with their cameras.
Why are you pointing at me? That's my question.
Because you decided to come over and harass me.
Whereabouts do you live?
Right there in my van. That's where I live. Yep.
I don't think you can live in your man.
I sure can. There's thousands, actually hundreds of thousands of people in Canada that live in their vehicles. Yeah. And that actually is my property, and I can park there for as long as I want. You know that?
Yeah, you can park there for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm not.
See that little smile going on that he's got there? That's you know that person is going to stick a tack under your chair before you sit down. You know what I mean? He's going to stick it on your seat. And you sit down, he's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And he doesn't laugh out loud. He just smirks to himself as he sees you sit down. You know, that's the kind of prick that guy is. Anyways, so, you know, the RCMP, and they investigate themselves. It's just like any schoolyard bully investigates themselves. Their friends are innocent, you know. Well, no, Joey's bothering all of us. Joey's bothering all of us. He's bothering all of us. Every one of us. He bothers every one of us. That's what he does.
Like it's on right now. It's looking at you. You're looking at it.
You know, right? You know, the person that's getting bullied, he's bullying everybody.
You know what I mean? Like it's on right now. It's looking at you. You're looking at it.
Yeah, but so like when you point.
So they had threatened me. They had come down to my place so many times. I was like, "What the fuck? I got to go and see what these guys are knocking on my door for."
You know what I mean? Like it's on right now. It's looking at you. You're looking at it.
Yeah, but so.
And she has no clue. There's a red light flashing right at her in a camera, in a GoPro, and she has no clue of what the hell's going on. I mean, have you never seen even a television camera work? Most of them do have a light on them. And when the red light comes on, or the green light or blue light or whatever light it is, the camera's working, right? But this idiot, he tried to kill me. He's flying down the road in a BMW at like 180 kilometers an hour on the wrong side of the road, passing people where so many people have been killed. There's been like, 10, 15 people killed there for passing on the wrong side of the highway. And this RCMP officer, John Sims, is flying down 33 highway, barreling by everybody. And they're all on their phones, phoning 911, saying this guy's fucking crazy, how fast he's driving, this white BMW. And they're reporting him to the Regina RCMP. And he tries to kill me. I went into the ditch because he nearly fucking killed me, head on, tried to kill me. I guess I should have died then. And then they would have said this RCMP had a head-on collision in a white BMW at high speed. His name is John Sims, and he killed Dale Lakeman on the highway because he's a fucking maniac driver. John Sims is a maniac. He's a fucking insane, crazy kid that drives like a fucking maniac. And yeah, this is called freedom of fucking expression about how you fucking drive, John Sims, RCMP. You're a fucking animal. You're crazy. And here you are, you know what I mean? Hiding.
Like it's on right now. It's looking at you. You're looking at it.
Yeah, but so like when you point that, does it?
You hide behind like Jones, and you hide behind Henninger here.
Hey, man!
He's hiding. John Sims is hiding behind Henninger right here in this video. He hides. Watch him hide.
But you know what she said?
See him? He's hiding behind Henninger. You see that? Did you see him jump out of the way? Did you see how John?
Like it's on right now. It's looking at you. You're looking at it.
Yeah, but so like when you point that, does it?
Well, I mean, it looks like red. In the nighttime, it would look red. Hey, man!
I was just over your house.
Are you serious?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Well, I'm glad you went there because maybe you'll scare the bad guys away. But you know what she said? She told me it might.
Manager, did you see that? Did you see that again? Do you want me to replay it again, John? You can pause.
Like it's on right now. It's looking at you. You're looking at it.
Yeah, but so like when you point that, does it?
Well, I mean, it looks like red. In the nighttime, it would look red. Hey, man!
I was just over your house.
Are you serious?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Well, I'm glad you went there because maybe you'll scare the bad guys away. But you know what she said? She told me it might.
Hides right behind Henninger, and then Henninger finally figures.
But so when you're driving at night, this lens looks red.
That's probably why they think it's a laser.
You guys hear my fridge now? I told them the fridge is fucked up. listen to it. That's funny. They wouldn't believe me. They're like, "Oh no, your fridge is fine." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's fucked up. I gotta go kick it. It's buggered up." So Henninger hides behind, Sims hides behind Henninger there because at that time I said, "Hey, you know who she said it was? She said it was John Sims in the white BMW." She says, "John Sims has got a white BMW." That's what she says. That's what Joan says right there. And so I said, "Hey, you know who she says? She says it's you." Oh, the darn fridge is going to drive me nuts. I got to go shut it off. I had my refrigerator unplugged for, a week and a half before somebody came and finally looked at it. And I had just plugged it in that day and it worked again. But now it's gone, so I just unplugged it. I'm done with that. I don't care I'll just throw that shit out. And so anyways, Henninger and Sims there were pounding on my door because I had my GoPro and I filmed Sims trying to kill me with his BMW. And so he says that I was pointing a red laser pointer at him. Well, it's a GoPro. It's a GoPro Hero. It's got a red light on it, right? That flashes. And so he was making shit up, right? And then, okay, that's one day. That's a day. And then this is what he does. This is what Sims does when I go out onto the highway to go for a walk down the highway. That's Sims right there. He goes driving by and then he turns around way down the highway, pulls over to the side, and then comes towards me. That's Sims. Sims was stalking me, right? Because I complained about his BMW and that he tried to kill me because he tried to kill me. He was doing like 180 kilometers an hour. I got his license number. And I phoned the Rcmp and I said, "This is the license number of this BMW." And he's driving. I was doing 160. See, that's Sims. Because I went for a walk down the highway and Sims comes racing after me down the highway. Hey? Stalker. And here's what Sims does the next day. How's it going, man? You got your window down yet?
Yeah, man.
Not much, eh? It's a beautiful storm. This is the next day. Isn't that rank? I enjoyed watching you play baseball.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for coming out.
No kidding.
It was my first game in a while. So
really?
A little rusty.
But you're playing for a beer league.
True enough.
Oh, well. What do you know? It's recreation, right?
Exactly.
Not much anything else in that. How's the highway?
It's actually, I just came from Stoughton and it was raining up until maybe past here.
Did it rain like at all or just like raindrops?
It was like pretty big raindrops. But then I got here and there was nothing.
Yeah, but the road wasn't wet though, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there was like about 20 drops. I caught probably about 3 of them in my mouth, and I started to go out there. I was going to go out in the field and try to record some lightning. Yeah. I'm scared of coyotes.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out there.
Well, that's the thing. See, now, everything's coming out to cool off and to get the water, right? Yeah. Exactly. So the rabbits will be out there, and all the coyotes come out to chase the rabbits, and the foxes will be out there.
Yeah, and they come out in packs too, right? So.
Well, yeah, especially, there is a big pack that roams right here, eh?
Oh, really?
Like right here next to my place.
Do you get them on video?
Nope, they won't come in my yard though. They don't like the smell of a human. That's the only thing. But there's lots of turds there, eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and those are coyote turds. Because it looks like dog turd, only it's got a lot of hair in it.
Oh, okay.
Because they eat a lot of hair too. Yeah, if you look there, right there. I think it's because of this low brush, those willows. But it sure is nice. Man, it's a nice cool breeze.
Yeah, it's pretty to look at. I wonder when we're going to get rain here though.
Never.
You don't think
like
so?
Seriously, man, no. No, there's no rain coming here though.
Oh, so it should. It was east in Stoughton. And it looks like it's raining further west. So.
Like it's a big wind
storm, but it just seems like by Sedley or Tyven, and then to what the heck's that other one? Francis. But it never gets here. Between here and Creelman, no rain. No rain. It sure would. It sure would, because people could have a barbecue decently. Somebody had a fire going, like a pit or something, because you could smell wood burning.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, as long as the wind isn't blowing so hard. But did you feel that wind? There's a great big wind about 25 minutes ago, and it was just huge. Like, I mean, it blew so bad, the dust came, like big cloud of dust came into the sky. So, like, that's what I'm afraid of, is a night tornado, eh?
Yeah.
Because it's just too hot, and there's no moisture to stop that electrostatic charge.
Yeah.
Did you see the sky the other day? There's a big circle in the sky around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was huge, man. I did a video on that. It was beautiful. Other than that, I don't know. It's pretty dead around here.
I heard you had your bike going earlier.
Yeah, I started my bike. Ran out of gas.
Were you fixing it, or?
No. I just started it up, had a little drive, like to the end of the driveway.
Oh,
That's it. No plates, man.
Oh, no.
That's all I need, is like a freaking $10,000 fine. My bike get impounded.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it, man.
Someone called earlier saying that they heard you revving it and stuff.
Really?
But
Too bad. They should have came out and enjoyed the,
that's what I said.
like, you know.
I said, well, did you tell them to stop earlier? No.
Well, put it this way. My neighbor starts his truck and has it idling all winter at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I came out. I'd be way more scared if you could pull out your gun and point it at me.
77256.
Anyways, see you later, man.
All right.
Have a great night.
Be safe. Take care.
Take care.
And so I'm got an empty tank. The gas tank is empty. I'm going to take the tank off and open it up and work on the fuel gauge. So the tank was empty. I had the bike idling. The bike idled for, I don't know, 2.5, 3 minutes. And then I put it in gear and got about, not even to my driveway, not even to the end of my driveway on my property, not even to my fence, not even to where my driveway starts to be past my lawn, past the sidewalk. I never even got in over to the sidewalk, in front of your house, the sidewalk. I never even got to the end of my driveway, to the sidewalk where the public sidewalk is. And the engine stalled. It was probably about 4 minutes total time. Then he says, "Oh, people are sleeping." Well, I'm sorry, if your child is sleeping, that's not my issue. Whoever's sleeping, you are sleeping. That's not my issue. It was only 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was maybe 9:30 at the latest. There is no noise bylaw at that time. And my mufflers are big stock Yamaha mufflers that you can't, obviously. It does not make noise. You know what I mean? It's a bike that doesn't make noise. It's designed to not make noise. It's a cruiser. It's not a Harley. The factory pipes, and even Harley factory pipes, are way more noisier. Like, for instance, get your camera out, Keith. Put me on your channel. Give me some publicity. I'm going to edit all this out, guys. So later, you guys better be recording it now. Okay, so anyways, we got to the point where Sims came by and harassed me for no noise, and then I started talking about Harley idiots. But we get back to those guys later, so don't worry about it. You're coming back. You'll be right here on the video. You'll see the Harley guys. You'll see them right here on the video. So we got to a couple days in. Sims tried to kill me with his BMW. We got that part. We got the Rcmp meltdown. We got Hosers harasses me, and how he recognized me as to be his victim by the tone of my voice and the admission that, yeah, all my life I've had my insecurities. And yeah, I really, not really had a great amount of self-esteem. But now I do. I've got my self-esteem now. And I want to say thanks to 3 people. Thank you to 3 people for giving me back my self-esteem. And you know who those 3 are? Those are the 3 people that have given me back my self-esteem. Thank you so much. You're the only 3 people that give me self-esteem. Thank you. You're beautiful people. You're great people. And so then what we do is we continue on, because Sims was not happy because, you know, the next day I put in the complaint about Sims and no
Turned my camera on sooner.
This happened.
Was because I didn't want to include everybody else, but that's a fucking Preston or Kosher, one of the 2, harassing me again here. So we're gonna scoot through this yard. There's no trespassing signs. So I'm running through this yard just to see what kind of bullshit he's pulling on me. Because he'll say, oh, I was just driving down Main Street. But he wasn't. He's circling around right now. He'll be coming back up, trying to get behind me here. So I'll walk over here and cut him off. Well, I guess the little skycle did go down that way. Must be. The dust seems to be going that way. Well, we're looking for him. No doubt about that one. I think I'm going to have to record them all the time. It's not worth it. They think that I'm not recording them, so they start harassing me again. Well, I think I'm going to record everybody fucking 24 hours a day. Whether you like it or not. See what I told you? You see what I told you? You see what I told you? It's exactly what I said. Time for another complaint.
Isn't that hilarious? That's just hilarious. You know, that's the next day. That's the next day. He was stalking me like crazy. I couldn't walk down the street without him following me in his personal vehicle. And so then, this is the next day. It was like 10 days in a row. And so that was Sims, and he slams on his brakes. And so then I turn my camera on, and so I catch him accelerating away. See, that's why you see him going by so fast, is because he stopped by the tree, and then as soon as I turn my camera on, it's like 1, 2, 3, and he goes zooming away, because that's Sims right there. That's Sims in the BMW right there. And so I had just went for a ride on my motorcycle, and I had just driven back in off the highway and driven into the yard. And so I noticed the BMW coming behind me down Main Street. So when I stopped, I got off my motorcycle, I turned around, boom, and he was stopping. And as soon as he saw that I had my camera, because he finally knew, because I had told him at the Rcmp barracks, I said, look, here's my camera. And so when I turned around, I had it in my hand. So he took off because he saw me turning the camera on, and that I would catch him being stopped, right? And so it goes beep, 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 beep. Well, then that's it. It was too late. He was accelerating away, and I caught him just the tail end of him driving away really fast because he was harassing me. And so this happens, right? And then this happens. You know, this happens a few minutes later, like, oh, maybe an hour and a half later. This is what's happening, right?
Nice church, right? There's a white BMW and the white Jeep.
And the white Jeep is Jones in her white Jeep. And the white BMW is, who is it? It is Sims. Sims in the white BMW and Jones. And so they're stalking me. But meanwhile, they didn't know. They did not know. They did not know that I was actually pulled over by an RCMP officer earlier that day at 1:30 in the morning. 1:30 in the morning, RCMP officer had pulled me over. And he says to me, he says, your plates are expired. I says, yeah. And he says, but you have a permit, he says. He says, you bought a permit. He says, this morning. He says, can I see your permit? And I said, yeah, okay. So I gave him my permit. So he knew that I didn't even have my permit with me because I had forgot my permit in Fillmore and I was going back to Fillmore to get my permit, the paper, right? That's all I had was I had left my license and my license and the paper in Fillmore. And so at 1:30 in the morning, I got stopped. I didn't have my driver's license. I did not have my permit. You can find that officer. I don't give a fuck. You can look that up if you're a cop. And so I didn't have that stuff, but he told me, he says, you have a permit though. I says, yes. And he says, can I see your permit? I says, no, I don't have my permit paper with me. And he says, well, okay. He says, because I already ran your plate and I knew you had a permit. He says, but you're good. So you're good. He says, what are you doing? I says, well, I'm just going home. I says, because I did leave my paperwork there. And he says, where's home? In Fillmore. So he asked me the questions that correlated the permit, even though he had already told me that there was a permit, but he knew that I had a permit. And he says, see you later. And I said, yeah, right on, man. Cool. A good cop, you know, great guy. Wasn't an asshole. And then, so that's what happens. And so then this is all happening in the morning, right? Sims comes. He stops, drives away. Jones and
Nice church, right? There's a white BMW and the white Jeep.
So at any time, those two idiots, they're rookies, they're young cops, they could have got to a radio or got to the depot or the barracks or whatever, and they could have radioed my plate in, and they would know that I have plates on my vehicle. And Kosher, as a corporal, he's a corporal, remember. Keith Kosher is a corporal. He would know for sure how to do that. He's not stupid. He's been on a couple traffic stops like once in a while in his career. He's a corporal, right? So he's probably ran a permit once in a while. He's probably ran plates like when nobody was showing him paperwork. He's ran plates. He has driven by people's houses and ran their plates before because he's a corporal. He knows exactly what the fuck he was doing, but he decided that he's going to come and park in my yard. He's going to come and park in my yard for some reason. He's going to come and park. He knows that he could drive by, read the license plate, and then say, this license plate number has a permit, and he wouldn't have to stop. You know what I mean? You know, I know that as a citizen that I could be a cop and I could drive by somebody's house, write down some plate numbers, and then check and see who they belong to. Because we even heard that in the movies in the 70s. Good gosh. You know, we heard of cops doing that in a movie in the 1970s, that cops would drive by people's houses. And that's the main thing about a license plate for a vehicle, is that you look at the numbers from a distance and you can tell who owns it and whether it's registered, whether it's got insurance. You can do that because I was a kid in the 70s. I think I was 10 years old. And I remember that watching a movie that the police would radio, George, we got FC7774. Can you tell me who that is? Oh, that's Clyde's plate. You can go down over to Clyde's there and you can see him. Yeah. You don't have to chase him. You know that that's Clyde's plate. And so SGI with computers today in 2000s, remember, this was in 2018. Holy fuck, they have computers. They even actually have cell phones in 2018. And that you could just phone up your boss and you could say, hey, man, Can you check this plate number and tell me if it's got a permit or if it's valid? Yeah, I can do that for you. You could even do it with a phone. Like you could even go to the store and phone somebody if you're a police officer, and you can say, "Hey, SGI, can you tell me, because this is my badge number, I'm a cop," and they'll tell you that guy's plate number and who it belongs to. Cops can do this without a radio even, but he didn't, because he's stupid and he's a corporal, and he's a corporal. He's a corporal and he's got no experience in pulling cars over, so he didn't know that he could just drive by and read the plate and say that's valid or that's got a permit or who that belongs to. He didn't know these things, right? Because he's a corporal. And so the corporal comes into my yard and he can't, well, no, he's sitting in my yard waiting for me. I'm not even there and he's sitting there. Why would he be sitting in my yard?
In my yard.
Now remember though, this has been going on day after day for 4 or 5 days in a row now. This has been going on for 4 or 5 days in a row. And now finally, I look down the street and I see there's an Rcmp sitting in my yard actually.
In my yard.
Finally. What did I say? Sitting in my, why is he sitting in my yard?
In my yard.
Whereabouts do you live?
Remember.
Right there in my van. That's where I live. Yep.
I don't think you can live in your van.
I sure can.
See, he doesn't think I can live, is what he should have said, right? He doesn't think I can live in my van. That's what his deal was. And so here he is.
Yard.
Sitting in my yard. After all these years, I finally get it together. You know what I mean? I'm getting it together here finally. Finally figuring out this is the guy. This is the guy. And he's driving a Ford, just like the guy that I...
Hi. How's it going?
Good, how's you?
Not too bad. Hey, Dale, do you have a permit for your motorbike?
And so you notice the familiarity between these two gentlemen, because that's who they are. They're not me, okay? I'm the other guy. There's 3 people here, but there's 2 that are kind of similar. One is got a place in society. He's a reverend. The other has got a place in society. He's an Rcmp officer. One guy is got no place in society. He lives in the garage, and he does whatever the police tell him to do. You notice that I do whatever the police tell me to do, even though I know it's wrong. I'll do what's wrong even to acquiesce to a police officer's demand. I knew that he was wrong. I knew he was harassing me, and I knew I needed a witness, and it had to be a person that had a place in society. So it had to be a person that could say, look, this is the fact. But whether you trust anyone, because, you know, like the church and the Rcmp kind of go hand in hand, and it's historical. The tradition between the church and the Rcmp are historical. Many Rcmp came and acted on behalf of the church to what? To take people away from their homes. The Rcmp came and took people away from their homes on behalf of churches. So churches, organizations like that, and the Rcmp, organizations like that, and government agencies, you'll see how they kind of coalesce, right? And that one asshole, jumps on the back. They're backbiters. There's Jacobites, right? And they all get together. And this is how the Jacobites work. So unfortunately, my witness was reliable, but not reliable to me. Reliable to the RCMP, not reliable to me.
Oh,
this is...
Hi. How's it going?
Good, how's you?
Not too bad. Hey, Dale, do you have a permit for your motorbike?
Of course I do.
Okay, I'll need to see it because
you have checked it with the SGI already,
yeah,
and you know it's valid.
No, it shows expired at the end of June. So that's why I need to see if you have a permit.
You can check with SGI.
I just did.
And validate the permit.
Well, if you have a permit, you have to show me.
You got 2 seconds. That's all I'm going to give you. You malicious bastard. I'm not taking his fucking malicious piece of shit. He knows he can phone it in. He's a lying piece of crap. I'm gonna be really nice to you. And that's it, pal.
You pretty much have to be okay there, Dale.
No, I don't have to be nice to you at all.
Okay. Just settle
You're
down,
a
Dale.
clown.
Checking to see if you have a permit.
That's exactly what your name is.
See in July. Perfect. 2000 Yamaha.
Hand it over. Can you read?
Yeah, I can.
Then you can correlate the information fast enough. Hand it back. You know you can phone SGI and check that permit. You already did. I'm going to get a complaint in going against you right now today again. You're a clown.
I just ran it.
Harass me some more, clown.
And it just said
get lost. Put it down or get out of here. Get out of here. Get the fuck off my property, clown.
Like I said, George, get the fuck off my property, clown. Have a great day. So George comes to my yard, Kosher comes to my yard and harasses me. And that's all that was for. It was for him to have a confrontation in private with me. And that's what he failed at. So he couldn't. He had to go like, oh no, what do I do? Right? And so he had to back run. Because I left, I went into my garage and I said goodbye to him. Do you know what I mean? I said, see ya. And he was gone. There wasn't anybody there anymore when I came out. Not even the Reverend. The Reverend left too. Maybe they got it and he got in and drove away with Keith. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I didn't look out anymore. I said, I'm fucking done with that guy. Which is what I should have done right at the beginning. What I should have done was just walked away. Just said, see ya. See you later. So that was, what, 3 days in a row there. From the start when Sims tried to kill me, and then, from the start of that to the time that Kosher ended up in my yard. But he was in my yard lots of times, but I never really recognized him because you know what? All Rcmp look alike. They're all assholes, and they all look like shitholes. That's what they look like, assholes. That's who they are. Yeah. They are who they are. Assholes. No fucking doubt about that one. So I'll probably edit a lot of this, but I don't really care. I might just redo this whole thing. This is a dry run, really. This is a raw run, and I don't really care. It's about me expressing myself, and it's about 4 days. That's all it was. That's all it was about, 3 or 4 days. There's nothing more than that. And so that was Sims, and that was Kosher. Kosher shows up that day. And then the Neil Meyer calls me up. Neil Meyer's calling me up and saying, I want to talk to you about this complaint that you got in. And so that's like 4 days later. So that's how quickly the Complaints Commission works. I put in a complaint about Sims. And it was like 4 or 5 days later that that Neil Meyer was already phoning me or emailing me. He was phoning to the church, to Alan. He was phoning to Allen already. He phoned the church and he said, I want to talk to Dale Lakeman about this complaint. My name's Sergeant Neilmeyer from Weyburn. And I'm like, really? Already? And so that's how fast the Complaints Commission really works, guys. So when you put in a complaint online or wherever, and it takes them 6 months or 2 months or 30 days before they send you a reply and say, we're going to look into your complaint. Now, this is your first update, and then they give you an update every 3 months or 6 months or a year or something. And they say your complaint is null. All those form letters. But this, I complained about Sims, the no noise harassment complaint. And then 3 or 4 days later, frickin' Neilmeyer is already calling me. That's a fact. That's a fact. And so this is...
How's it going, man? You get your window down yet?
Wrong one. That was the wrong one. Anyways, should an RCMP officer actually investigate a complaint? Well, no. Should Kosher have been in my yard? Well, no. He shouldn't have been, right? He shouldn't have been. But mere days later, this is days later, like what, 2 or 3 days later, Neilmeyer's phoning me. And then that day or the next day, this is what happened.
Yeah, so
this
anyways,
is what
that kind of thing makes you nervous because you complain about the RCMP and then they're all over the place every time you walk down the street, you know, to the real contemptuousness
well, I
of
should
society. And we see what progress does.
Yeah, we see what progress brings. So that's the thing. I complained, and that was days, and that's why I said that. And that's why I had to film that at the store, is because he said, oh, I wasn't at the store asking about you. When I walked into the store, the guy was at the store asking about me. That's what they said.
Yeah, so
and
anyways, that kind of thing makes you nervous because you complain about the RCMP and then they're all over the place every time you walk down the street, you know. That's the thing about it. It kind of makes you nervous.
And so right away, boom.
Hey,
so he was at the window, actually.
Well, you know what? I'm telling you.
He was actually at the window.
About it. I really don't know what you're doing with me. I'd like you to know that I don't feel that there's any kind of friendship going on.
Just let me pull over on the side street there so we're not in the middle of the road and we can talk.
Sure, because it kind of doesn't feel equal. Do you know what I mean?
You notice how he's just ignoring me. He's just ignoring everything I say. He's talking right over me.
And
talks right over me.
After.
He talks right over me. He just totally ignores what I want. I said, look, I don't feel that this is equal. I feel intimidated. That's what he should have got that message. He should have said, you know, you don't need to feel threatened. And then he tries to get me to go into the alley or on the side street with him. What the fuck? So he's already trying to threaten me and intimidate me. You know, that's a fact right there. And he was down at my place banging on my door. I told him, I don't want to talk to you. I said, I know that that's what you do, is threaten people.
So anyways,
with a
that kind of thing makes you nervous because you complain about the RCMP and then
and they had seen that I was I was an insecure person. They had taken advantage of that. That's a fact.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
That kind of thing makes you nervous because you complain about the RCMP and then they're all over the place every time you walk down the street, you know. That's the thing about it. It really kind of makes you nervous. Harass you.
Took advantage of me.
It's the big man. Well, you know what?
Talks right over me.
The way I feel about it.
I feel threatened. I feel threatened.
I don't know what you're doing with me. I'd like you to know
threatened.
That I don't feel that there's any kind of friendship going on.
Just let me pull over on the side street there so we're not in the middle of the road and we can talk.
Sure, because it kind of doesn't feel
side street.
Do you know what I mean?
Not anywhere public.
Because I don't walk around with a badge and authority. And
this is 4 days in a row. This is 4 or 5 days in a row that this has happened.
Talk to this guy.
This is over a period of 10 days that they constantly fucking harassed me day after day after day. And this is a cumulative effect. And so that's how
I'm not going anywhere.
And so that's how pathetic it is, guys. After all these years, this has been 3 years now. This has been 3 years right now that this, since this date has been 3 years. These dates are the dates that the Complaints Commission sent me a letter on December 1st for. They said December 1st, they said, what happened on these dates? This is what the Rcmp Complaints Commission wants to know about, what was going on here. Well, it was gang stalking, threats, and intimidation, and that's a fact. And today, I mean tomorrow, I go back to court again tomorrow. It's a weekly thing. I have to go week after week after week. And so right here, he's trying to mental health profile me. He says, you need help. You're getting worse. Well, guess what? Here I am 3 years later. And you know what? And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you, I lied to him all the way through. I've never seen a psychiatrist. I've never seen a psychologist in my life. I deal with my problems. I take up a psychology book and I read and I say, how do I feel? And I reflect on how I feel and I deal with how I feel. I don't go and complain or talk to somebody and try to get them to figure out how I feel. I do it for myself. And as any rational person does, they rationalize what they're doing and what their thoughts are. And they say, is that a valid thought? Is that a valid action? Are these feelings valid? And they either validate the feelings fully, completely with facts. They back it up so they're happy and satisfied with the outcome, or else they don't. And they go, I'm irrational, I'm crazy. But most people will be rational and they'll figure things out. But if you have to go to a doctor and talk to a doctor about how you feel, that means that you can't deal with your feelings. But if you can deal with your feelings, you do it. And you deal with your feelings. And I've dealt with my feelings all my life. And so he says that there's some kind of mental health issues. Well, guess what? How strong I am. Because I've been dealing with this for years, 3 years. And it's been week after week after week of going to court. Every week, go to court. Every week, every week. If you could go to court every week for 3 years, or off and on, it started off about 4 weeks. Now it's every week that I go to court. Every week now. By myself. And I stand in front of the whole court. The whole court, everybody, the Saskatchewan Justice is in front of me. And I stand and I address the whole court by myself. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a simple person. I only weigh probably 155 pounds. And I address the whole court. And I've been doing this week after week. Now, he says that there's some, guess what, man? I am the strongest person in the world. I'm a strong person. I'm obviously mentally strong. I have mental strength that other people do not have because I took them to the place that they wanted me to go with them. And I did not go past that point, but I knew how far they would go. And I knew what they were doing. And it was all an act all the way through. All the way through. I wanted to see how far they would push it. They would have killed me. They would kill you. They don't care about your life. They say it's in the name of safety. They say whatever they say, but they would kill you. They don't care about your life. Your life means nothing to them because they are impudent. They're impudent. Impudent. They care not about anyone else except for themselves, and their egos are the greatest regard. That's it. And if you do not hold them in high regard for their egoism, they will do this kind of stuff. They'll belittle you. They will take your life apart in every which way that they possibly can, to not to examine it or not to explain anything, but to make sure that every scenario that they see fits. And that's a fact. They make it up as it goes.
So
Systems
anyways,
historical.
that kind of thing makes you nervous because you complain about the Rcmp and then they're all over the place every time you walk down the street, you know. That's the thing about it. It really kind of makes you nervous. Harass you. Hey, it's the big man. Well, you know what? I'm telling you, the way I feel about it, I really don't know what you're doing with me. I'd like you to know that I don't feel that there's any kind of friendship going on.
Just let me pull over on the side street there so we're not in the middle of the road and we can talk.
Sure, because it kind of doesn't feel equal. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't walk around with a badge and authority and talk to people after. I don't want to talk to this guy. So what do you think I should do? I think I should just walk away from this guy. He's driving away. Where's he going? I'm not going to the frickin' back alley, if that's what he thinks. I'm not going anywhere that's not public, man. No question about that one. You can come park right here. If you want to talk to me, I'll stop this for a second just to save some time until he comes back. There's no way I'm not going to go anywhere that's not in public. That would be kind of dumb. Private to talk to him. He doesn't want to be overheard. He doesn't want to be seen in public talking to me. He wants to make sure there's no witnesses. So he's parking over here.
So,
I don't want to talk to
really confuses him. It really confuses him because they don't get the eccentricity. They don't get the subtleties of what I'm saying, right? And so I've narrowed it down to just the subtleties here, guys.
What I'm saying is like this. Okay, so what you do and you are representing is a professional, and you are a professional. That's what you represent. Now, how could, if I complain about something, how could you wear that uniform and not represent who you represent? There's no way. If you're talking to like some bad guys, and they're bad guys, and they say, here's our card, and it says we're bad guys, then you know they're bad guys. If you're talking to a politician, he hands your card, then you know you're talking to Harry Wallace or whoever it is, right? That's who he represents, you know? Whoever the person represents is what they're
Party or whichever.
But see, the problem is that I had it me. And so I complained about it to them. And guess what happened to me? Got harassed worse. So when you complain to the good guys, even though if they, and I'll tell you, you told me lots of things. You told me exactly who you represent.
Yep.
You did. You had made no bones about it. So what are we doing? We're never going to be friends, I don't think. Unless I'm a police officer, I don't think we're going to be friends.
Well,
if I'm a politician or paying your salary, we might be closer in association.
Depends on your definition.
But the level of society that puts me at one certain place, you judge me to be at that place. You see what you see, and you interpret with your book of interpretations what you want. Every question that you talk to me about, psychology questions, how do you feel about your life in general, etc., etc. Man, I could write that textbook. Okay, I understand social psychology. And I prefer if we were friends to be friends, but we're not friends.
Well, it depends on your definition of friends. Like
that's where this ends. Now, in essence, you come onto my property, I consider that trespassing. I'll try to get a lawyer.
We have no associations.
And I really
I'm trying to tell him we have no association, buddy.
With everybody in every level of society, but when you complain about people and they say no, there's justification, there's this, there's that.
You yesterday about someone throwing rocks again.
Yeah, so it happens.
Yep, no, I don't, and I believe.
And it has happened. Now, I actually have video evidence, but you know what?
He went down and looked. He saw what was going on. He checked it out.
Am I going outside to check? No. Am I really that?
He was there the day before.
Yeah, a little tiny bit. But for what it's costing me emotionally, and like this, and for hassles with people that really shouldn't be hassling me, that is the price that I'm paying. So I'd rather not pay the price. I'd rather live my life. And so the rampant speculation that these people see by me and you interacting.
I have to stop it right there because see, when I say that, you could see that he's thinking, he's got nobody. He's got no associations with anyone. I don't associate. So see, the police are associations. They're justice associations. They have associations. And the rule of society is that you have associations. And if you don't have associations, what do you have? Yourself. It's a complicated situation there. And so I prefer not to be meddled with. But anyways, now what I was going to bring up the point was the sorry about that, guys. I'm sorry I interrupted that, actually.
I'm going to meet you and talk to you and stuff because I don't know if I explained it clearly enough.
Because
So anyways,
Yeah,
so
anyways,
I'm sorry, I
that
got to
kind
go
of thing
back
makes
to the
you-
point.
Makes you nervous because you complain about the Rcmp, and then they're all over the place every time you walk down the street, you know.
So
That's thing
the
about
fact of
it.
the
It kinda makes you
associations.
nervous. Harass you. Hey, it's the big man. Well, you know what? I'm telling you, the way I feel about it, I really don't know what you're doing with me. I'd like you to know that I don't feel that there's any kind of friendship going on.
Just let me pull over on the side street there so we're not in the middle of the road and we can talk.
Sure, because it kind of doesn't feel equal. Do you know
So
what I mean?
he knows I have
Because
no
I don't
support. I
walk
have
around
no
with the badge and
associations,
And
right?
talk
And
to
so he
people
knows he's
after.
there to take advantage of the fact that I'm
Talk
there
to
by
this guy.
myself.
So what do you think I should do? I think I should just walk.
He's not
over.
legitimately
He's that
representing himself, because I
He's
had put in a complaint. When the
don't
RCMP come, I'm
back
thinking,
alley.
well, he's talking about my complaint,
That's what
right?
he thinks.
No, but I knew what they were doing.
Anywhere that's not public, man.
I said,
No
you know what
voice
he's
about
doing
that
here?
one.
He's some kind of mental
That
health
part right
profile.
here. You want to talk to me? I'll stop this for a second just to save some time until he comes
I'm just
back.
way too friendly.
There's no way I'm not gonna go anywhere that's not in public. That would be kind of dumb. Private to talk to me. He doesn't want to be overheard. He doesn't want to be seen in public talking to me.
What you have to do now is watch that he is not, he's thinking about what he can counter
talk to
to
somebody
everything
I
that I
approach.
say. Everything that I say, he thinks of some kind of a counter. He tries to counter in some way. And then he'll agree with me. Why? Because he is genuinely, sincerely, he understands sincerely what the hell I'm saying to him, but he's always thinking of some kind of a counter.
What I'm saying is like this. Okay, so what you do and you are representing is a professional, and you are a professional. That's what you represent. Now, how could, if I complain about something, how could you wear that uniform and not represent who you represent? There's no way. If you're talking to like some bad guys, and they're bad guys, and they say, "Here's our card," and it says we're bad guys, then you know they're bad guys. If you're talking to a politician, he hands your card, then you know you're talking to Harry Wallace or whoever it is, right? That's who he represents. You know, whoever the person represents is what they're.
Party or whichever.
But see, the problem is that I had it me, and so I complained about it to them, and guess what happened to me? Got harassed worse. So when you complain to the good guys, even though if they, and I'll tell you, you told me lots of things. You told me exactly who you represent.
Yep.
You did. You had made no bones about it. So what are we doing? We're never going to be friends, I don't think. Unless I'm a police officer, I don't think we're going to be friends.
Well,
if I'm a
depends.
politician or paying your salary,
Depends
we
on
might be closer in association.
Depends on your
But the
definition of
level
friend.
of society that puts me at one certain place, you judge me to be at that place. You see what you see, and you interpret with your book of interpretations what you want. Every question that you talk to me about, psychology questions, how do you feel about your life in general, etc., etc. Man, I could write that textbook. Okay, I understand social psychology,
Remember
and
I
I prefer if we were friends to be friends, but we're not friends.
Well, it depends
So,
on your definition of friends. Like,
That's where this ends. Now, in essence, you come onto my property, I consider that trespassing. I'll try to get a lawyer and sue you for trespassing. And I really don't want to have, I want to have amicable relationship with everybody in every level of society. But when you complain about people and they say, no, there's justification, there's this,
you
there's
complained
that.
yesterday about someone throwing rocks again.
Yeah, so it happens.
Yep, no, I don't.
See?
And it has
See?
happened. Now, I actually have video evidence, but you know what? It's like, man,
And he was down there at
what
my
am I
place,
Kids?
and
What am I doing?
he
Am I going
acknowledged what
outside
was
to
going
check?
on.
No. Am I
The
really
next
that
day, he's
concerned?
trying to get me
Yeah,
to
a little
explain
tiny
this
bit.
to him.
But for what it's
You
costing
see how he's
me
not paying
emotionally
attention?
and
He's
like
not paying
this,
any attention to
and
what I'm
hassles
saying.
with people that really
He's
shouldn't be
thinking
hassling
of
me.
what his plan
That
is.
is the price that I'm paying.
That's what
so
he's
I'd rather
thinking
not
of.
pay the price, rather live my life. And so the rampant speculation that these people see by
You know?
me and you interacting,
That's
damaging
what
to
they
my
like to do.
personality and my
Is they
situation.
bring out a bunch of RCMP to
I love you
constantly
guys.
be
I respect
around you,
I wish
kind
you
of job
all
are
and
you
it
trying
makes
to
you look like,
Any
well,
kind of
I'm not
job.
going to get a job.
Really.
I'm not going to
It's
get a
really
job now.
irrelevant. And you can't.
You know, that's what it was.
You could.
Just let me tell you
You
what my
could
ult-
if
what
you
my
were my
ultimate-
friend,
my
or if
ultimate
you were
goal-
my side, but I complained.
His
about
ultimate goal.
And you're here. You appeared.
I want you
Now,
Ultimate
as far as
goal.
I'm concerned, you represent who you represent justifiably, and with your cause.
See, that's what he represents. And they just wouldn't admit. I'm here to represent the fact that you're complaining about one of my buddies. That's what the problem is. They're like, oh, he's complaining about one of my buddies. I got to go over there and kick his ass. If I don't go and support my friend because he's part of my association, the police association says that I have to go over and harass this guy because of the fact that, why? Oh, sorry, I forgot to add this in, guys. This was before. This was, or well, no, we can add it in. I got it a little shuffled down, but I made a mistake there. I guess maybe I hit that, shuffled it around. But anyway, so then he's sitting there telling me about blah blah blah, and I'm trying to get through to him. Look, man, you represent the Rcmp. You don't represent the Complaints Commission. You're here to try to intimidate me and threaten me, and that's exactly what he was doing. And so, now he wants to tell me his ultimate goal, and here's his ultimate goal.
And he had people surrounding him, so that's okay.
Not,
so sometimes we are operating. You're a police officer, totally different level than I operate at. No way could I
come and meet you and talk to you.
So here, he's not providing cash.
Because see, this is what they say is PR now for you.
No.
Now I'm done with the PR. No, I'm not naive. I've been here.
My goal is
I know what you.
See, before he could explain himself, I wanted to tell him, I'm not naive. I know exactly what the fuck you're doing. And the fact is that you are here to harass me. You're here to mentally health profile me instead of you're not trying to investigate my complaint. You're just here to harass me. You're just another troll. That's all you are. And he didn't want to admit that. And I said, this is PR. And he says, no, right away. He's like, no, it's not PR. No, he wanted to make sure that he's not my friend. And when I said it's PR, he said, no. He said, no. And the way he says no, that all he's doing is being vexatious towards me. Just the tone of his voice, that he is not there to be any aid to me at all. And he says, I'm here to help you. Well, the only thing that he could help me with would be to give me cash, because that's the only thing I actually needed then, and that's the only thing I actually need now. And then I can buy some groceries and eat some food, because that's what everybody needs is cash. That's the one thing that people need. And, the other thing is support. And you'll notice on my channel that I have a bunch of people, 1,360 some, 60 some today. 1,360 some today. And there's no support. Those people are all trolls. There might be one or two people maybe that support me. The rest of you are all trolls. And you all enjoy harassing people, just like the Rcmp. And that's why I know who you are. It's because I've been there before lots of times. I've been bullied for all my life. I grew up with bullies. My family, bunch of bullies. Every single one of them, bullies. It was never any good fun time at all. Not once. I never enjoyed anything with any of my family members. Never. Not once. It's all been bullshit. And that's a fact, but that's the way family life, and so you develop into a person that may have insecurities, and the rest of the world sees these as disadvantages or advantages to them. And Kosher saw it as an advantage. He thought, okay, I'm going to harass this guy because here he is harassing, here he is harassing me some more. But here's Dave Horton. He's a Horton, David Horton. Horton, here's a who? Or who here's a Horton? But, oh, there's my fridge again. So this is Dave Horton. Again, and so he's not doing PR. Remember, he's not there to be any kind of public relations. He's not there to investigate my complaint. Just what the fuck is he doing here? What the fuck is he doing here with me?
Because I don't know if I explained it clearly enough.
Because see, this is what they say is PR now for you.
No.
Now I'm done with the PR. No, I'm not naive. I've been here.
My goal is...
Like I said, no, I'm not naive. I've been here. See, this is a mental health profile. And so after all I said, again, this has been 3 years. And so every time that the police, whether it be Regina City Police or the Rcmp, have taken me into custody for a mental health warrant, I've been released that day, or within a reasonable, like within the normal reasonable time. So at the very earliest opportunity, they've released me. Why? Because every time the psychiatrist comes in and says to me, what's going on? I tell him what's going on. And he says, oh my God, I got to get out of here before I get sued. And so Tatagua Health Center and the Ombudsman of Saskatchewan, they made a big mistake because they kept me. And they kept me because of undue influence by an Rcmp against them. Rcmp used overreach and undue influence to hold me in the Tatagua House 10 in the Weyburn Health Center at the Weyburn. And that's a fact. The Ombudsman supported that fact, that I was held against my will for 8 days. And the fact is that I've never been diagnosed with any mental health illness. And actually, the fact is the only time I've ever seen a psychiatrist was when the Rcmp have taken me into the health care center, and the psychiatrists have said he's not any kind of suicide threat or anything. He's been released. And then but the Weyburn one is corrupt. They thought that they could get away with listening to the Rcmp when Saskatchewan government has upheld my complaint. The Ombudsman said you were treated against your will. You were held there against and received treatment against your will. And that's a fact, because they had no reason to hold me. They had no warrant, and they had no justified cause to hold me. I was not a threat to anyone or a threat to myself in any way. And they knew it, and they were scared. You should have seen the looks on their faces. I said to them, I told them many times, I said, I'm going to sue you all. And they would get, two of them broke out into sweats and had nervous quivers. They were like, oh my God, oh my God. And I said, you're all getting sued. And so now the Rcmp are opening the complaint. They're reopening a complaint that I didn't even ask them to open. They're opening a complaint about these days. This is what the Rcmp Complaints Commission wants to know about, is these things that happened to me in 2018, when I didn't even say that to them. I didn't say, let's go back to 2018. I didn't say that, but they did, because Tatagua Health Center and Saskatchewan Health is putting pressure on the Rcmp now to be accountable for what the Rcmp did, because even the Ombudsman said, this was the Rcmp that did this to you. And I said, thank you. And I recorded it, and it's on my channel, and it's on 5 other channels, as a matter of fact. And it's on a few other channels that are just scheduled to be released. So the fact is that they broke the law. They broke the law to protect one cop that harassed me and one complaint. And this was the complaint. This was the complaint that they were so worried about protecting. They were worried about protecting this one complaint, man. The one complaint. That's what they were worried about protecting. Right there.
Hello there.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, how's you?
Not too bad. Hey, Dale, do you have a...
And that's the guy, Keith Kosher. Because you know why? Because he couldn't go out of the office anymore. He got too many complaints. He got in too many trouble from being out on the highway. He got into too much trouble. And so he had to go into the office. He couldn't get out of the office. He couldn't. You know, here, listen. This is what Neil Meyer says about him.
I contempt this system because I don't trust the system. You don't trust.
That's not the right one. That's not. Yeah, I'm way past. Whoa. Whew. Hold on. Oh, that's a different one. Oh no, that's a different. Yeah, that's not the one. Here it is. This one. It's a quick one.
So he was there for no reason.
That's why these young guys,
Sheldon is not young.
No,
Sheldon has experience.
He's not young.
He knows what he's
but he only has about 5 years.
years, and trust me.
And so 5 years is not enough experience to know not to do that to somebody on purpose? Is he ever spiteful, or what kind of...
No, actually, Shelton's not.
Yeah, well, there's a longer version. I'm sorry, we're going to play that later. But anyways, he says that some people can't work on the street. They can't go on the street. They can't be on the street. So anyways, we get back to this. Now, Horton, here's a who. He's freaked out. He thinks that I'm going to go and be like some kind of mental health patsy for him.
Coming to meet you and talk to you because I don't know if I explained it clearly enough.
Because see, this is what they say is PR now for you.
No.
So he treats me like an idiot. I don't know if I explained it clearly enough for you, but he's not listening to me. Everything that I say to him is fucking going over his head so far, and he can't even listen. If he even paid attention to listen for a second, then he'd realize that everything I'm saying to him is going over his fucking head. And every time I told him to get the fuck away from me about 50 times politely, but he would not listen, and he's still not listening. And I'm saying this is all PR, and what I meant is this is my PR towards you, Horty. This is me being nice to you, Horty. I'm giving you a little bit of public relations here, but you're a fucking ignorant asshole. That's what I was saying when I said this is PR, you bitch.
I'm going to meet you and talk
That's
to
what
you and stuff because I don't know if I explained it clearly enough.
Because see, this is what they say is PR now for you.
No.
Now I'm done with the PR. No, I'm not naive. I've been here.
My goal is
I know
to
what
get
this
you
is.
Help
with what?
I think you need.
You have a check for me? Because that's the kind of help I need is financial help.
No, I can buy
Because you know what?
lunch. That's about
Just
as
like
much
you
as I
can take care of yourself, I can take care of myself. I'm an adult.
But I'm not talking
You
about
said we're the
financial
same age, as a matter of fact, so I respected that.
You're a couple months older, yeah.
Yeah, so you can respect that. That if you can take care of yourself on a daily basis, so can I. And I choose to live the way I live. Just like you choose to wear that uniform, I choose to wear this t-shirt and these pants. When I do buy some clothes, I will be able to afford it without getting a credit card out. What do you do with your credit card?
I dress just like that when I'm off work, so.
So what? But you still have debt. I don't have much debt.
No, I
and
don't
I'm not part of the system here. That's too bad for them. I affront their dignity because I'm a little bit, sorry, more intelligent than a lot of these guys. And that really makes them mad. I wish I would have been a military officer, police officer, politician, lawyer, whatever. But that's not what the certificate says that I have. The certificate that you can present to me says I have a criminal record and I'm a bad guy. That's your interpretation. I will walk on and leave you alone in peace now.
I want to take you.
Okay?
I want to take you to the doctor. That's why.
Yeah. For what reason?
I want you to get checked
For
out.
your satisfaction.
No.
Now why? Why can't I live my life satisfied with the way I live my life? And you can't live your life satisfied with the way you live your life.
I think you're getting worse.
Like worse in what sense? In the sense that you people are coming to my place more often? No. Is that what I mean? Is that what you mean?
I think that you're suffering.
Is that maybe you're stressing me out more?
Now, isn't that funny? 3 years later, and how many mental health evaluations? I've never been certified. I've never been admitted to the hospital. And he says I'm getting worse. And all this time later, and how much stress I'm under right now, and I go to court weekly, and and he says that. And what I was trying to tell him was, man, you don't realize that you have a personality that's maybe different than my personality, and that we each have personalities, that you have to accept a person's personality, and you can't start just not paying attention to the person and then say that this is the way they are. And that's exactly what he was doing. He was sitting there telling me how smart he is, and that he went to university, and that he's going to come here and be a psychoanalyst to me and all this kind of shit, and asking me and telling me all this shit. But he's not listening at all. He's telling me what to do, and he's pre-planned what direction he wants to take this. He wanted me to become confrontational with him so that he could say, look, this is the way it is. This is the same thing. And he would have said, this is what happened with Keith. But no, it's not what happened with Keith. When I told Keith to fuck off and your badge is a piece of shit, I finally got to meet my bully with a witness. And I knew that the Reverend wasn't going to be aggressive towards me in any way. If that would have been two police officers, I never would have said, fuck you, Keith Kosher. I never would have said that, because both of them would have jumped on me. Keith Kosher couldn't jump on me because the Reverend was there, and the Reverend is a passive. So the Reverend would never have been able to intercede. And if the Reverend would have interceded, it would have went against his ethics. And that, as a Reverend, would have been a compromise. And he could not compromise his ethics in a violent manner. So he would have never been able to defend Keith Kosher. And Keith Kosher was the aggressor. Keith Kosher came into my yard to aggressively be there. And if I would have been alone and said, fuck you, he would have taken out his gun and shot me, or he would have fucking executed me with a fucking, or electrocuted me with that fucking taser. He would have called in backup and had me assaulted and arrested and fucking punished for telling him to fuck off. But I had the Reverend there as a passive witness, so that that Reverend could not be the one to join in to assault me, but he would be a witness that, hey, is totally impartial, because the Reverend was not my friend. The Reverend is the town's Reverend, not my Reverend. I didn't pay him. So he was working for the town. That's who paid him. Was the town paid him. I didn't pay him. Nobody was getting paid by me. So the Rcmp weren't on my side. The Reverend's not on my side, but he was passively on my side, whether he wanted to be on my side or not. And that's a fact. And so that's why I had the Reverend there. He was my patsy. He was my witness. That's a fact. And so that's when Horty Boy is saying that I'm going to,
and he had people surrounding him, so that, okay, so sometimes we are operating, you're a police officer, totally different level than I operate at. No way could I be a police officer. I would like to, I have inclinations. No way would I ever do it.
Einstein did have mental health problems.
What?
He did have mental health problems.
See? So do you.
You see the distractions that he tries to put on. And of course, he says Einstein has mental health problems, and Van Gogh and Renoir and all these, right? Why? Because he wants to bring up a distraction from the point that I'm going to make. And so then instead of giving into his distraction, I make another distraction for him. And I say, so do you. You have mental health problems, obviously. The reason I say that is because he sat there chain smoking. He sat there nervously chain smoking, and you notice he fidgets with his chin, or he'll fidget around, he'll move around, and it's fits, and he'll cross his arms. And so he'll be thinking all the time of what his plan is to next do, to counter everything that I say. That's what he was doing. He was trying to counter everything. And then I says to him, I says, counterintelligence. Why? Because I was reading him, but he wasn't reading me. He was trying to take me to a place. He was trying to put me in a category. He wasn't reading me. He was trying to put me there, and he couldn't figure it out because I didn't let him read the book. I said, okay, let's fucking throw some distractions into you, buddy, because this is the kind of fucking bullshit counterintelligence crap that they don't want you. Then they want you to not be able to focus on what the points are. And that's what he was doing, is trying to make me not focus when I was focusing, but he wasn't paying attention on anything that the hell I was saying. He was ignoring me. That's his arrogance. And that's where in this, where I asked him so many questions. And if you listen to it, and I'm going to release just these shortened videos. If you will listen to the shortened videos completely by yourself without me interfering, then you'll hear it, and you'll understand what the manipulations were that this guy was trying to do to me. But remember, again, in all the times that I was arrested for mental health warrants, I was never detained for a mental health warrant. I was arrested, but I was never detained for mental health warrants in all this time. And he says this.
And he had people surrounding him, so that, okay, so sometimes we are operating, you're a police officer, totally different level than I operate at. No.
See, because I was operating so far above him in his small-minded, arrogant, ignorant, egoist position of a police officer that he couldn't comprehend what I was saying to him.
And he had people surrounding him, so that, okay, so sometimes we are operating, you're a police officer, totally different level than I operate at. No way could I be a police officer. I would like to, have inclinations. No way would I ever do it.
Einstein did have mental health problems.
What?
He did have mental health problems.
See? So do you.
Right,
But you won't admit it.
So did
But you'll admit that about someone else. Or you'll say that about
Vincent
someone
Van
else.
Gogh was certifiable as
Exactly.
But so it doesn't mean having a mental health problem
No.
doesn't mean you're stupid.
No.
It's
It
the same
doesn't.
as-
And you can be stupid and have mental
Well, you can
issues.
be, yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of people that are stupid.
Yeah.
Those are stupid people. And stupid people do stupid things. That's right.
Mental
So
health problems-
there we go.
It's
So
no
now,
different-
you
it's
know
no
what?
different than having diabetes.
We totally solved it. And I love you. I love you. I
no
really
different
do,
than
man.
having
And all I
diabetes
can
or
say to you,
measles or
all I can say to you, you go to church, okay? And then just leave everybody else alone. And you'll learn not to judge people.
I'm not a
and
church
please,
guy, but
yeah, but
we
please,
live in a-
please,
it's-
don't
it's-
send anyone over to my place saying I have a
That's
mental
why I
health
can't-
issue.
No,
I'll send you a poem.
I'm the mental health issue guy. You
You
won't
know
see
what I mean?
anybody about that except me.
You know what I mean, though, right?
No, if
Okay,
anyone
I
comes
just
to
want to
talk
live
you,
in
it'll be me.
peace, and whatever these people are doing, tell them, let them do it.
Well, I've already talked to the guys.
And you know
over
I
there.
love you guys, and I really do respect you. I
And
wish I could have been an RCMP.
I talked to Keith after
No
I
way
talked
would
to
I
you
deal
last
with that
Friday,
stress.
Right? I told him what you said.
That's why I quit the militia.
I told him what you said about how you don't have anything against him, and you, as far as you're concerned, it's over, and and that you respected him.
But see, he's a good officer, so he'll dog to.
So he'll dog to anything I say, you know, like he'll dog it off. He'll be like, oh yeah, see, like how important I am, you know, like he understands that I'm the most important person in the world, and that my ego has like been offended, and that he can't offend my ego, you know. That's what they dog to, right? They dog to that kind of thing. Like, oh, it's my ego that's more important. And he's finally admitted that I'm an important person. I'm a cop, right? And so that's the way they dog it out, right? Because I said, you know, like there's nothing. But see, that's why they didn't let it go, did they? I said for sure it's over for me, because that's all I wanted to do was put up a complaint and say, look, I put in a complaint against the guy. You know what I mean? That's all I wanted. And Einstein, yes, had mental health issues. Why? Because he was so insecure about his ideas. But once his theories, because he came out of nowhere with his theories. Einstein was a patent clerk. That's all he did. And he said, well, I'm going to think. And he started thinking. And so people started to have faith in what he was thinking. And that's how Einstein became a physicist, right? Is because he just wrote a thesis on physics. And then suddenly, man, he was accepted. Why? Because they were revolutionary ideas. And so when you creatively think, sometimes what people hear of what you think, it scares the fuck out of them. Can you imagine somebody in 1700s saying, well, this theory of relativity, you know, the earth and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, you know, they would have put him in a chainmail thing and put prongs into him and put him on the rack and said, admit that that's wrong, and that God invented the universe, and that these there's not particles in the air. That's foolishness, you know. Einstein's theory of relativity, he would have been murdered for that. Okay. And so that's the problem. So when you creatively think, people are afraid of what you think because they don't believe in you. Unless you have people that believe in you. Unless you have people that believe in you, then your ideas will be accepted. But if nobody believes in your ideas, then they're not accepted. And that's a fact. And so that's the problem with the Complaints Commission, because we all believe that there's a Complaints Commission that exists. And how many times I've heard from idiots that are liars, total liars, because I know it's obviously a lie. Oh, I put in a complaint about a police officer and they said, oh, that officer shouldn't do that. And he said he was sorry. And I'm like, okay, Peter Pan exists, but he is gay. And really? Seriously? You know, he's not just this elfin guy. You know what? You know what I mean? Truly. So that's true. It's fake, man. It's fake. There's no Complaints Commission. I think I might have some dummy finally pounding on my door here. It's 7:45 to come and fix my heat. So this might be and honestly, this is probably a first run through. I'll probably go ahead and I'll redo this whole stream again. And it's going to be a lot better because of the fact that I will get over all my emotional responses. So it's hurt, all the hurt I feel from the Police Public Complaints Commission, the hurt and the emotional responses that I have, right? So it's HATE, the hate that I have for these people, because I have contempt for them. I have to despise them. And why is that? Why do you have to despise these people? Why? Why do you think? Is there a reason? There is a reason. And you know what it is? It's the fact that they're impudent. And even here in this interview, this video, you can tell that he gives a shit less for anything that I say. All he wants to do is exercise his agenda. Because that's what he does. Exercise.
I think he said that to me even actually a few times.
So
okay,
so
you know,
we're gonna part ways again, and I'm just gonna ask you to just keep thinking about it, man. Okay?
it's like university.
Yeah.
If we all went, but we all knew more than what the teacher was teaching.
We wouldn't go to university anymore, that's for sure. You know why? Because when you get there, all you're doing is realizing what you know. And here I am sitting on the step with this guy, and I'm realizing what I know is the truth, is that this guy's arrogant, and that this guy feels that whatever it is that he has to say is more important than anything. And whatever his agenda is the most important thing. It's in it. His agenda was to protect Keith Kosher. And there's no doubt about that one at all. It's to protect Keith Kosher. Because you notice, he never, ever brought up anything about John Sims. At the very beginning, he says, I'm here to talk to you about John Sims or something. But no, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyways, he brings up...
I think he said that to me even actually a few times.
So
okay, you know,
we're gonna part ways again, and I'm just gonna ask you to just keep thinking about it, man. Okay?
it's like university.
Yeah.
If we all went, but we all knew more than what the teacher was teaching, then what would we be doing? We'd be going there and we'd be like...
Well, you'd be going there just for the piece of paper then, right? If you already knew everything.
A waste of time.
Right?
Not if you already knew everything. No, you don't go there for the piece of paper if you already know everything. You go there for the piece of paper to get a job, to be like this guy. He's sitting there and he has been trained to do what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing because he's been trained to do this thing. But he doesn't realize that everything that he says to me, I've already known what he was going to say. And he says to me, be going there just for the piece of paper. Well, most people do go to the university just for the piece of paper. They're usually smart enough to know that they can pass the course. That's a fact. If you're not smart enough to know that you can pass a course at a university, then don't go, because you're wasting time, because you're ignorant. You shouldn't be doing that course. That's a fact. If you're not smart enough to complete that course, don't do it, because you know why? There's a lot of people that are going to get miseducated or misinformed by you, or the job that you do is not going to be quality, because you know why? Because you really don't know what the fuck you're doing. You've been trained to do it, but you really actually don't have any ethicism about it. You have no morals about it. So people that go and they become lawyers, why did they do it? Why? Because they saw a television show, LA Law or whatever, or Lawyers in Love or whatever. And they go, well, that's glamorous, and you get a bunch of money. You got a fancy car. Oh, pardon me. Excuse me for that one. And so that's why they become lawyers. Doctors and such. Lawyers and doctors and such. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys, because they're always alone and they're never at home, even with someone they love. And that's a fact. And so there's where that line comes through right there. Because you want people to have money. You want them to be rich, right? Don't be a thinker, but be a trained person. And this guy's got trained here, and he's always trying to tell me everything. Like, oh man, I'm going to train you. And so Horton comes, and he says this.
Yeah,
and now he has to follow up.
I definitely will. Sergeant Neil Meyer.
Yeah, and one of the things he has to do is...
I got that letter. Yeah. I was waiting for him all this time. I was wondering what was happening.
He's down to Assiniboia today, but he asked me to talk to you about it and tell you that he's coming.
You could phone through the church And Alan definitely will leave me in this.
And I told him that you and I had a good relationship.
I'm sorry for putting on the dog here.
He's and I said, I'm sorry for putting on the dog. Why? Because I was misleading him all the way through. I was pretending to be his friend, and I wasn't his friend at all. I knew exactly what he was doing, and I was playing the game with him. I was playing the game, and that's a fact. Sometimes when these people are just not as smart as you, they feel that you're successful and that they're your friends, etc. And that's what you want them to do. You want them to feel like, they're your friends. And so Horton comes down there, and he hangs out with me doing that. And of course, he says Neil Meyer's going to come and hang out with me, and we're going to talk about this complaint. But then the very next day, I was at the church. I'm sitting at the church, and we got this happen.
Corporal Keith Kosher of the Fillmore Rcmp detachment. Dun 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 da 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 da. He's mad at my sticks. He's mad about the sticks. He's mad at those sticks. He's mad.
So they wanted me to be happy dappy with Keith Kosher. But Keith Kosher, I'm sitting at the church, and suddenly fucking Kosher comes pulling up there, and he's like, "You gotta move those sticks today. Move those sticks." Why? Because I said there's it's all water under the bridge, right? And so he felt that he could take advantage of it. Because I had said, "Oh, he's a good guy. There's nothing wrong, with what he does," and blah blah blah. And so he comes down and does this. After I'm talking to Horty, I'm talking to Horty, and I'm like, "Oh, like it's all gone. It's all okay. Me and Keith and blah blah blah, and it's like I forgive him and he forgives me, and we're all great friends and everything." And he says, "Yeah, but what about like would you be willing to sit down with Keith and talk to him?" And then Keith comes and does this the next day.
Corporal Keith Kosher.
And the reason I put those sticks there was because he kept on driving into my front yard and shining his lights on my place. That's why I put the sticks there. But so that's why he's mad about the sticks, is because he was harassing me. And
Corporal Keith Kosher of the Fillmore Rcmp detachment. Dun, dun,
how childish this was. And see that that's so hilarious.
He's mad at my
sticks. What a pathetic guy. And you see how fat he is in this video, right? Man, is he fat.
He's mad at
that poor guy.
Sticks.
Like I said, you should take a walk or go jogging or something. Maybe swimming. But look at his arms, he's waddling. That's how fat he is. Poor guy. I feel bad for people that are fat and unhealthy. And he's fat, obviously. I mean, you can see the fat piggy puff video. I put that up, but there's another one coming up. Yeah, even Horty's got his, now that I see this, I got a still shot of Horty here. And he's kind of got a tummy. But Kosher, see, and the thing was, like seriously, I was thinking, okay, things are settling down. And then I laughed my ass off. I says to the Reverend, I says, Kosher's down at my place kicking those sticks out. And the Reverend's like, "Oh no." And he goes into the church, didn't say a word. What a loser. Kosher, you're a loser. Oh, you got such a great job. You got a place in society, and you're an asshole. I mean, if you were me, you can be an asshole all you want. You got no responsibility to anyone. But you're just an asshole. And so Kosher does this, right? So this is what happened.
Corporal Keith Kosher
would go with us if
hold on.
But you understand what
I mean? And it gets assigned to him.
Yeah.
And now he has to follow up.
I definitely will. Sergeant Neil Meyer.
Yeah. And one of the things he has to do is
so Neil Meyer's supposed to be coming, right? Neil Meyer's supposed to be coming. Neil Meyer is coming that day, that day, Horty's there trying to make buddies with me, and then
Corporal Keith Kosher of the Fillmore Rcmp detachment.
Then Kosher does this. Kosher does this the next day, right? Oh, so we're trying to get Dale to not be complaining about you. My kid Horty's there one day. We're trying to get Dale not to complain about you anymore. That's so funny. And then the next day, the very next day, this happened. This happened the very next day. The very next day. Oh, hold on. I should say this.
Are you?
Hold on. I'll say this first because so Horty and Neilmeyer, this is the first time I'm going to meet Neilmeyer. But Horty and Neilmeyer are at my door the next day, knocking on the door. And I'm like, well, fucking Kosher was there yesterday fucking kicking my sticks around because he's mad at sticks. And
once in a while that we get lucky.
Are you?
And it's true. It's only once in a while that we do get lucky. And that's the way it is when you talk about luck. It's like it's up to whatever happens, And so Horty and Neilmeyer start banging on my door. And so I phoned over to the church because they were yelling and they said, we're not leaving until you come and talk to us. I'm like, what? They said, we're not going to leave until you come and talk to us. And we drove from Weyburn to get here. We're not leaving until you come and talk to us, and we'll be at the church waiting for you. So they said, we're not leaving until you come and talk to us. They had guns. There's 2 big cops out there. They had guns, and they said, we're not leaving until you come and talk to us. I phoned a lawyer, and I said, look, these guys said that they're not leaving until I talk to them. And I said, they went over to the church and they told me that I'm supposed to come over to the church. I said, I feel threatened. I don't want to talk to them. And the lawyer said, well, call over to the church and see what's going on over there before you make any decisions and then call me back. But I made a decision when I was talking to the Reverend, right? So the lawyer told me, he said, if you don't want to talk to him, don't talk to him. But I was up since 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And this is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So this was a whole day gone by. I was worn down. I had already dealt with Kosher kicking my sticks the day before. I had dealt with Horton being there the day before that. I had dealt with Kosher being in my yard a couple of days before that. I had dealt with Sims harassing me. I had dealt with Sims and Jones and Henninger coming over to my place. I had dealt with Preston, I think Preston and Henninger driving by, and Jones harassing me, and Simpson and Jones harassing me, and Kosher doing that. This was day after day after day for about 4 or 5 days, right? And so that was it. And so then they decided that no matter what, I am going to talk to them because they drove from Weyburn. And this was Neilmeyer and Horty.
I don't know, but I feel pretty fucking humiliated.
Well, that's the way I felt. I'm sorry. I got another blacked out video. Here we go. So I'm talking to the Rev right here. This is where I'm talking to the Rev.
Are you? I never get lucky. I try to make sure that everything works. I don't rely on fate. I usually try to make everything work properly, but I know
Yeah, because I knew what they were doing, right? And so I knew, and I was like, oh, because I said, well, maybe I'll get lucky and they'll answer my complaint today properly. And he said, oh, it's only once in a while we get lucky. And he's cajoling me, trying to get me to come over. But I had said, no, I don't do that. I don't leave it down to luck. I try to make everything work out. Well, I had been nice to Horty. I had been nice to these guys, just trying to make it work out, to try to get them. But see, I recorded it. They didn't record it. So they weren't listening, so they didn't hear, right? If they would have had a recording of this stuff, then they would have been listening to what I said, and they would have said, holy fuck, you know what he just said to us? But they didn't listen. So now...
Once in a while that we get lucky.
Are you... I never get lucky. I try to make sure that everything works. I don't rely on fate. I usually try to make everything work properly. But I know telecommunications relies on electronic signals.
Hey, I can get David to the phone here.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay.
As long as everybody can hear, so everybody's happy with what they're listening to.
Well, the other fellow is
whoever
is the sergeant. He's come to talk about the complaint.
Sure. Okay, I'll talk to him then. Whoever wants to speak to me, I'll speak to him on the phone. No question.
Well, he drove all the way up here.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Sergeant.
I'll get him on the phone.
Neil, thanks.
So you hear all that, eh? It's how, like, man, you got to talk to this guy. And they had tried to cajole him into convincing me that I have to talk to this guy now because they have a paper for me to sign. And the Reverend even said that. He said, they have a paper here for you to sign even. Well, and so I knew that they wanted me to sign off on the complaint already. And that's what the intent was, is to try to pressure me into signing. The more days in a row that they could harass me, the more pressure I would feel to sign off and say, this is going to be over. You know what I mean? Because they ended the complaint. You think, well, it's okay. Now they're going to back off a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, but it's been 3 years now, day after day.
Once in a while that we get lucky.
Are you? I never get lucky. I try to make sure that everything works. I don't rely on fate. I usually try to make everything work properly. But I know telecommunications relies on electronic signals.
Hey, I can get David to the phone here.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay.
As long as everybody can hear, so everybody's happy with what they're listening to.
Well, the other fellow is
whoever
is the sergeant. He's come to talk about the complaint.
Sure. Okay, I'll talk to him then. Whoever wants to speak to me, I'll speak to him on the phone. No question.
Well, he drove all the way up here.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Sergeant.
I'll get him on the phone.
Neil, thanks, Alan. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Dale. This is Dave Horton.
Good day. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. You?
Yeah, real good.
Yeah, so I brought my sergeant up today because he needs to talk to you about a complaint that you made.
Okay.
A public complaint against one of the constables here in Fillmore.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll wait for you here. You just come up and talk to him. He just wants to talk to you. That's it, about this complaint.
Well, just put him on the phone and we'll have a conversation right here. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Would you agree to be recording you if we were meeting in public?
Oh, yeah. I I don't care if you record us.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, besides the point, I think this is a lot, for my purposes, I like it this way.
Yeah. Well,
if he'd like to speak to me on the...
Dale, that's the only way he can deal with this complaint. He has paperwork to show you and everything.
Well, you know that...
I'm here, Alan's here, nothing's going to happen to you.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Just come on up and talk to him. Probably take 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, you know what? Because I am an honest and genuine person. I'm going to come over there and speak to you guys.
All right, buddy. I'll see you when you get here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that's the thing. They had to pressure me into coming over. They demanded I come over. That's the way it is. If I didn't come over, boy, It's about, we drove all this way. You're inconveniencing us. They're plying on my, how do I say, my empathy for them, right? They're trying to make me empathize that, oh, they drove all this way and I'm important, etc. You know, like it's important.
You're investigating a complaint. I want you to figure out, and because you know what your solution is.
I do.
And you do know what you're going to do way before you got here. You need to do
I have
that.
an idea. I have an idea.
You need to do that.
What will be right.
That's what you need to do.
Okay.
And all we need is,
from my perspective, truth.
Yeah, so, whoops. There we go. Sorry about that. I thought that video was a lot longer. I don't know what happened there. So he was, I don't know what happened.
We're investigating a complaint. I want you to figure out, and because you know what your solution is.
I do.
And you do know what you're going to do way before you got here. You need to do
I have
that.
an idea. I have an idea.
You need to do that.
What will be right.
That's what you need to do.
Okay.
And all we need is,
from my perspective, truth.
Hey, yeah. So from his perspective, truth. Well, the fact was, you know, did he know? But he does know. He does know what the truth is. Where is the right video? I don't have the right video. I didn't have the right video here. I messed up, guys. Did I go past the video? No, I messed up. I didn't put the right vision, the right version of that up. Sorry about that. I missed it. I got the wrong version. There's an extended version that's edited, but I mean, it's not as short as that version. So he knew what he wanted to do. And I said to him, you should just do what you're going to do because you know what you're going to do. And I knew he was going to minimize and fluff over and deny my complaint. And that's what he did. And the complaint was about Sims. Okay. But I wanted to talk to him about everything else. And that's the wrong version of that video. So sorry about that. That is too short. There's another part there that I'm missing. Gosh, darn it. Oh, well. See, that's the problem. This is a first run through. I'm going to polish this. I'm going to change it. It's going to be a whole another documentary. But this is a live version. And we are live. There's no question about that one. We are live here. and as a matter of fact, my friend, I saw that video. So don't be so ashamed, Canadian. I'll tell you, there's one thing we have to be ashamed of, the Rcmp. They got us kicked out of the United Nations. Everything. They fucked it up. Red-coated cowards. Yeah, I saw that video. I actually watched that live, my friend. I'm sorry for laughing, but I can tell you I was laughing with you. And I knew your astonishment, and it's every waking moment of my life, I feel that same way still. I go to court every week, man. I've been going to court every week from September. And they went all the way back and they asked me questions about September. Now, is that crazy or what? That's crazy. And I was not the one that solicited I didn't solicit these complaints. I didn't solicit it. They solicited the information from me. I did not solicit this information. They sent me the letter. They said, they said, we want to know what happened 3 years ago. And it says, it's very unusual. Well, it is very unusual because you've been denying this for 3 years. And the fact of them arresting me for mental health warrants twice and attempted 2 more times. So 4 times they tried, and not one time did a doctor ever even certify me or commit me to stay or anything. The doctor said, get him out of here. Get him out of this place now, is what the doctor said. That's what the doctor said. So, yeah, and so that's the thing. So you have a better standard. At least they only put you in a cell for 9 hours. They kept me for 8 days against my will, and the health department even knew that. They were just sweating bullets. And now that's why they opened the complaint, is because I'm going to publicly sue those people. I'm going to sue the public. I'm not suing the Rcmp. I'm suing the public. I'm suing these guys. I'm suing the nurses. Every one of those nurses is getting a lawsuit. And I'll tell you, it's going to be so little that they have to pay. I'm only going to sue them for $500 or $1,000. They're going to have to pay that $1,000 no matter what, because they won't be able to, if they buy a lawyer, they won't be able to defend themselves at that rate. And that's a fact. And so this is, so Neil Meyer comes and they want me to, of course, sign a paper.
For having to have this contempt. I contempt this system because I don't trust the system. You don't trust your human.
I contempt the system for having to record them because you trust them. You trust them. You don't think you should have contempt for something that you're supposed to trust. You know, you want to trust these people, because why would you have contempt for something that is supposed to work for you? The Public Complaints Commission is supposed to work for you as a citizen. It's not supposed to marginalize or take away from you your rights. It's supposed to work for you.
For recording this, for having to have this contempt. I contempt this system because I don't trust the system. You don't trust your humanness, but I do trust the way the world should be, right? Okay, the truth. Doesn't matter what your truth is the same as mine. Do it. I downloaded the Facebook, I sent it to the Rcmp F Division, somebody there. They got the video. So that's all I need to say is I was nice to him, and he still tried to hook me into something. You could see he was grasping. And at the end, when the amount of respect that a person I will let you have all my rights, and a citizen will do this for an officer. They will respect the authority so well that you will have all my rights and carry my rights. And I will rely on you to uphold this rights that I have as a Canadian citizen.